Well, to close out here, I just want to say what I like to bring to my sphere of influence, if you will. I like to bring to them information about the music they like to hear that they cannot find on the internet. We live in, obviously, the information age, and the history of the band and the encyclopedic details all can be found on the internet.
Inaccurately, I may say so.
Most of the time. As a group of 5 musicians going forward on this tour and potentially making some great new music under the umbrella of the Yardbirds, you know, what would you like the people to know? What would you like to talk about? Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to just throw out there and say, hey, we're the Yardbirds and we want you to know this?
Well, what fascinates me about you know, our live shows is that every single night is different, and it really depends upon the nature of your connection with your bandmates and the audience. And you know, it's amazing what kind of, I don't know how to say, what psychological pocket it puts you into puts me into when Ben is playing something different than he played last night, and he's got a particular tone on his guitar that he's discovered, and then he starts, you know, messing around with his volume control, and you know, it does transport you to a different place. So it would be, if you're talking about creating something, some new material, it would be great to be able to sort of have those spontaneous moments as part of the structure of a song. Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
In that way, it's always fresh, you know.
Yeah.
Every night
yeah.
is fresh.
Because, in fact, the Yardbirds only wrote about 65 songs at the most. But they're all very eclectic, and that's what keeps the passion going. And sort of changing them here and there. And we can have bad nights. Every marriage can. But there's always somebody in the band who lifts it, you know.
Oh, of course.
Gets us through it.
Maybe somebody from the audience.
Or maybe not a marriage from the audience. Maybe, you never know.
It just depends
Well,
what kind of...
One of the things that kind of we were talking about before we kind of sat down here was I shared a story with Andy. He said it gave him goosebumps, which I won't go into it now, but it's kind of, and it's hard to form a question. Andy, maybe you can help me. As musicians whose music is very ingrained in who you are as human beings, and how you relate to the world, how you express yourself. And, you know, I don't know that at any point in any of your lives you woke up and said, I want to be a rock star. But what is, like, a musical story or something about the music or the process that you would say is the reason you do it? And it's okay if you want to be a rock star. If the answer is, hey, I just want to be a rock star, that's okay, because, you know, the world needs rock stars. But what I find, I've talked to a lot of musicians who've told me some very poignant stories about how meaningful the music is and why they do it. And I'd be interested if you guys have any stories like that.
Well, I mean, for me, it was never to be a rock star. I still don't want to be a rock star. But at the same time, you know, it's about a passion, isn't it? Getting turned on to something. And that's what that blues music did for me when I was about 15. And in fact, I couldn't sleep for weeks because it was just so, you know, such a poignant thing for me to discover at that time in my life. And, you know, it's passions. I've had another passion in photography, and it's not a question of wanting to be a big deal in anything. It's just a question of following that thing you love, and actually it can be good to you. You know, it can give you a living or whatever.
Right.
And that, you know, pas de regret, no regrets.
And actually, for us, I can speak for Chris too, probably. I mean, it's hard work, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
it's,
sure.
it's quite hard work for us.
Yes.
But it's obviously enjoyable, else we wouldn't do it. So we
Yeah.
do get quite a kick out of it,
Yeah.
playing music.
Well, rock and roll and music takes you to the parts that no other beer does at all. So it is extraordinary. And the stories and everything else, as Jim and I both know, and the people that you meet along the line, and stuff you could write about and attempt to on
Lots
occasion.
of characters, you know, like
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Yes. You're just a long line of great characters on the road.
Well, thank you.
Rest-
That's a compliment, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a story?
I remember I was very fortunate to have seen Jeff Buckley playing, and I just remember the sheer passion coming off the stage, and this was a guy that was doing what he wanted to do, and he had a particular way of projecting a very spiritual aura, I suppose is the right word, to the audience, and that's what sort of propelled me along to become, a more accomplished singer-songwriter, if that's the right phrase, or made me want to try and become a more accomplished singer-songwriter.
It's always good to have inspiration, isn't it? And it's hard these days to be totally original. Very, very hard. And although back in the 60s we did things and we changed the rules in music, it kind of seems maybe a little tame even by this day's standard, but at the time, and it's very hard, especially in today's media events and all that.
The Yardbirds, though, because of their history, are very uniquely positioned that a new band coming up today, for instance, if these three wanted to start their own band, probably couldn't pull off. And that is what you've been talking about all along, that eclectic nature of the band. The fact that you have those 60-some-odd songs and that they're all very diverse, and that you probably could describe the Yardbirds using 3, 4, 5, 6 different genres. If these young guys were to walk into a record company today with a great sound and say, oh, but wait, we're not blues, we're not just blues, we're not just metal, we're not just rock and roll, we're an eclectic band, they'd probably have the door closed on their face, because that's not the way commercial music works
Well, it's
today.
all about timing, isn't it?
Yes,
we were
yeah,
lucky we were
yeah.
in at the right time.
Jim is so right. Time and place. Huh?
Exactly.
Well, plus the Yardbirds started off with a specific sound. It just grew over the years.
Well,
bands still do have the ability to grow over years. The Yardbirds didn't go in with a demo of a blues song
No.
and glimpses from little games, and it was
No.
very much a blues band at first. So they didn't evolve over a space of a year.
But there was no competition, Dave.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there was us and the Rolling Stones.
Well, in London at the
and,
time, yeah. Who else was doing
Newcastle,
it?
there was the Animals, and the Kinks were in there somewhere, and the Who. I mean, now it's wall-to-wall bands.
Loads of bands.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Highly
it's
competitive today.
very high, and there's no record companies now. It's all gone, and
Plus, people aren't given
pretty
the time
much.
to develop. I don't think.
You've got the X Factor.
Oh, exactly.
I mean,
Well, everything moves so
In
fast
fact,
today.
why are you doing it?
yeah.
Well,
What's
then,
going on?
here you guys are, again, a unique situation, that you get to draw on this experience.
Sorry.
He's an old-fashioned English gentleman, isn't he?
The interview's not done yet, don't kill him. But you know what I'm saying? You get this very unique opportunity to draw off this, whatever it is, this history, this experience, this eclectic collection of music that's going to contribute to your evolving musical DNA.
Absolutely.
And, although he said back then there was no competition, that's not the case now. But you guys will have this that other musicians won't.
Yeah.
It's definitely a huge blessing to be able to play this music with these guys. Real blessing.
Well, do you guys have anything you'd like to individually share?
Ben?
just give
No pressure, Ben, but it's all you.
You're per diem, Chris?
Yeah. Dave? We like playing verbal ping
Well,
pong.
I think Ben, we not only had some great guitar players, we were known as a guitar player band, and we always gave a lot of latitude to all the guitar players, and they wanted to be in our band because of the music we kind of wrapped around and they could then participate in. And I think Ben, he's a natural progressor to that. He takes the music and evolves it, and it's a good structure for any guitar player.
It was funny because people were asking about the guitar players, and they said, "Oh, how did they just walk in? How many guitar players did you go through?" But we never had any auditions.
No.
The guy just appeared,
We'll take you.
So
And
the
Ben,
All right,
the Ben
let's go.
just appeared.
And we said, I was sitting on my stool, and Ben appeared and played like the Holy Grail, and it got me off my stool. I was so excited. Not
And there
many
are
guitar
all
players
these
do that.
stories about us going, oh, the next guitar player, 25, you know, I
Mm.
mean, how did you get them? You have to
Yeah.
play, you know, try out loads of them.
They found you then.
No, they just appeared.
They
Out of nowhere.
Ben, we're so glad that you just appeared.
Yeah, me too.
And,
Yes.
I get the impression you seem very humbled by your ability, and it's what you're able to do is a pretty amazing thing for musicians and non-musicians alike. Music is so important to the world and to people, and it does everything from rile people up and moves them to action to it comforts people.
I think it's the most important sort of human expression creatively, and you know, some of it's acquired talent, some of it's natural talent, depending on who it is and the circumstances. But I think that if you are fortunate enough to have some natural talent musically, it's almost kind of imperative that you have to somehow serve that. The way I feel about what I do is that it seems I just always used to play. I just would sit and play to myself, and I found it took me somewhere, it would transport me somewhere and give me a feeling that I couldn't get anywhere else. So when I realised that other people started to get this feeling, and I was like, okay, well, so I've got something going on here. And I just thought, well, it's kind of a responsibility of mine to honour that as well as I can. And so that's why I try and just sort of cut the shit out of what I do and really try and give people something that's very pure and honest, and hopefully makes them feel something. Because when I listen to music, I never tried to learn the notes. I tried to learn the feeling of why it was moving me, and I tried to listen in that way to the space, and just listening to the other musicians and the guys in the band, and just try and create that one thing that kind of feels something. And there's nothing better than knowing that the audience or whoever's around is sort of feeling that at the same time, because to me that's what music is really about. And especially with rock and roll or any kind of roots music or rhythm and blues or whatever it might be. And there's no band, I really don't think there are many bands that do what we do quite the same way or better, and not that it's competition, but you know, there's definitely the chemistry and the DNA thing it's a very rare thing, and I'm really happy to be where I am today doing it, and I'm looking forward to playing this evening. I can't wait.
Well, I can't wait either.
You haven't
I would
seen
have.
us yet, have you?
What?
You haven't seen us play yet, so you don't know what we're like.
Well, I've heard the CD. I didn't throw it against the wall, so far you're in good shape. Well, I want to thank you guys for, you know, giving me the opportunity to talk to you and talking about, at the soul level, what makes you do what you do. Music is very important. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. In fact, this wrinkled up, scary, bitty nun told me when I was a kid, "Don't sing, Mary, just move your lips." So I went the alternative route. I can't make music, but I can tell people about music, and I can promote the music because I believe in the profound effect it has on people. I've often heard musicians talk about that place it takes you to. And as someone who's not a musician, I'm very grateful that you guys take your talent as seriously as you do, and that I've had the privilege of experiencing your music and being taken to that place where you're standing there holding the door open. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I'm looking forward to your show. And just remember, it's all about the music.
Ta-da.